Matt, thanks. Dan DeChellis has been immersed in music since he started playing piano at a young age. He's done many projects that feature improvised music and original compositions, and he's here as part of the Dan DeChellis Trio. Dan, good morning.
Morning.
Would you introduce us to the members of the trio?
Sure. We have Scott Hornick on bass and Tom Bagshaw on drums today.
All right, welcome in, guys.
Thank you.
What type of music, what's your musical genre?
Well, I studied classical music when I was in college and discovered jazz a little bit later. But I also grew up on, rock and roll, Springsteen and Pink Floyd and all that good stuff. So the music I write sort of is a combination of sort of the improvisational side of jazz mixed with sort of my love of sort of non-jazz musics as well.
Okay.
And after studying classical music, there's a bit of, some classical music in there as well. I'm a big Eric Satie fan, and so some of that kind of stuff works into some of the pieces where we're going to be playing for you today.
All right, so a little different from traditional jazz as you would know it, because you mix in other flavors.
Absolutely,
nice.
Yeah. I play some standard and traditional jazz as well, in other groups, but this is a little bit of a different kind of thing.
Yeah. You're performing at Miller Symphony Hall later this month. What are people in for when they come to that?
It's going to be a full evening of original music of mine from the last 2 or 3 records that I've put out. So it should be a lot of fun. We open things up. Things get, we improvise a fair amount on the tunes, and sometimes go to some places we've never been, and so it's always a different experience.
Sounds like an adventure.
Yeah.
What are you playing for us this morning?
We're going to start with a tune called Never Satisfied, which is off of the most recent record called Moving Mountains.
Okay. Thanks, Dan.
Yep.
Steve, thank you. We're joined by the DeChellis trio this morning for Music Monday. Dan has recorded and written rock and roll music in the last 11 years and has a new record. Dan, good morning.
Good morning.
You came up with a unique way to fund this project, the new record. Tell us what about a little
bit. The record, we did a Kickstarter campaign, and one of the main selling points of the Kickstarter campaign was that we were going to press it on vinyl. And so it's been something I've wanted to do for years. I have about 7,000 records. I have a real big collection. And so we did it. We surpassed our goal by quite a bit, and we pressed it on vinyl, and we also have CD. It's also available, all over the place, online and Amazon and all those iTunes and things. But it was really exciting to do. You put together the video, and then you send it out to friends, and it happened. It was I was a little nervous about it, obviously, at the beginning, but it all came together. And
where would you say the best place is to get that vinyl recording and other music that you publish?
All of my records that have come out on CD are all available on iTunes and Amazon. But also, probably the best place to get the vinyl is actually at my own website, which is just DeChellis.com.
Is that the one called Mountaintop?
Yeah, Moving Mountains.
Moving Mountains.
Moving Mountains is the name of the new one. Yeah.
All right.
And it's a collection. It's an interesting collection because most of the records in the past have been sort of written for that particular record. This record contains some really new material, also some things that were written 8 or 9 years ago. So it's a mix.
You're also a familiar face at Moravian College. Tell us what you do there.
Yeah, I've been teaching at Moravian for about 8 years now, and I teach jazz piano and classical piano, but I also direct the Moravian Improvised Music Ensemble. We recently won a Lehigh Valley Music Award for Outstanding Classical Ensemble, which is pretty exciting. So I get to teach. I teach sort of secondary piano. So if you're a cellist and you need to have certain piano skills, that's sort of my job. But I also teach just improvisation to people. And like I said, I direct the Moravian Improvised Music Ensemble, which our performance is actually this week, Wednesday night at 9 o'clock at Pater Hall at Moravian College. But I've been doing that for about 8 years as well. So it's.
And you've got another performance in Allentown later in the month, maybe a couple. Where do people go to find out where you're performing? Yeah,
the main thing is everything is sort of centered right around my own website, just DeChellis.com. April 22nd, we're at Miller Symphony Hall. I'm really excited about that. It's, we find ourselves playing a lot of restaurants and things like that, which is a certain type of playing, and then there's playing where you're actually playing where you're on stage and people are there to really listen. And those are the evenings that usually, some really magical things happen or whatever. Those are the things we live for. So,
what are you guys performing this time?
We're going to perform a tune called "A Distant Memory," which is also off the new record.
All right, thanks, Dan.
you.
Thank you. That's going to do it for us this morning. Thank you for watching. And we're going to leave you with a little more from the DeChellis Trio. Have a great day.
Gems.